The Committee on State and Local Government will come to order. It is Tuesday, April 8th, 2025, and the time is 11 a.m. A quorum is present. First up, we have Senate File 2162, Senator Dibble. Oh, sorry, we had a change up to the schedule. It will be, first up is Senator Pa, Senate File 2038. Senator Pa, whenever you are ready to go, you may proceed.
Thank you, Chair Xiong, and members of the committee for this opportunity to present SF 2038. This is a policy initiative being brought forward by the Metropolitan Council. This bill would allow the Met Council to have the same tools to procure goods and services for small businesses, or from small business, I should say, that state agencies currently have. In 2023, we passed language to enhance the ability for state agencies to do direct negotiations with small businesses and increase the percentage preferences that can be offered to small businesses. Those changes did not impact the Met Council's procurement authorities, and so this bill would align their procurement policies with procurement policies of the state. Just as the state of Minnesota has benefited from these tools would also allow Met Council to promote small business participation consistent with the state authority. This would promote consistency in contracting with small businesses that work with the state of Minnesota and with Met Council. So with me today, I do have two testifiers from Met Council. Whenever you're ready, Chair.
To the testifier, please state your name for the record and you may begin.
Morning, Chair and committee members. My name is Jody Jacoby. I'm the Chief Procurement Officer for the Metropolitan Council.
And good morning, Chair. My name is Hannah Paulmeyer, and I'm the Government Affairs Manager with the Metropolitan Council.
Thank you, and you may begin with your testimony.
Thank you, Chair and committee members. I'll just walk through the specific sections of this legislation. And as Senator Pa mentioned, what this does, or what that aids the Met Council in doing, is bringing the Met Council's procurement procedures, procurement statutory authority in line with state agencies. And it does that in a number of different ways. The first section is Section 1, authorizing the Council to direct negotiate construction or maintenance contracts up to $250,000 with securing 2 competitive quotes. And this is currently the authority that's offered to the Department of Transportation. Section 2A authorizes the Council to award preferences, again, that the Department of Administration, the Office of State Procurement, has for bid amounts for goods and services for targeted group businesses and veteran-owned small businesses up to 12%. Section 2B authorizes the Council to award construction work to small targeted group businesses and veteran-owned businesses, again with that statutory authority up to 12%. Section 2B and D allows the Council to designate construction contracts and procurements other than bids award only to targeted group or veteran-owned businesses. Section 2C allows the Council to set subcontracting goals for targeted group businesses on all types of contracts. Additionally, allow a direct select value up to $100,000. Again, this brings us in parity with the legislation that was passed in 2023 for the Office of State Procurement. And then the final section, Section 3, is a technical change to the statutory authority of Section 473-1425. And I'd be happy to take any specific questions that you have.
All right, thank you, ma'am. And any additional testimony?
No, Mr.
ahead,
Chair, I'm just here for questions, and I want to acknowledge we also have Cyrinthia Jordan, our Director of the Office of Equity and Equal Opportunity at the Council, also here for questions.
All right, thank you. With that, members, any questions or comments to the testifiers or Senator Pye? All right, seeing none, Senator Pye, any final thoughts for us?
Thank you, Chair Xiong and members. We hope that we can get your support on this bill. Again, it just brings our Met Council to parity with our state agencies, so should be a yes. Thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, Senator Swedzinski moves that Senate File 2038 be recommended to pass and re-referred to the Transportation Committee. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. The motion prevails. Senate File 2038 is recommended to pass and re-referred to Transportation.
Thank you,
Thank
Chair.
you, Senator Paul.
Thank you, Chair.
Next up, we'll go back on to the agenda. Senator Dibble, Senate File 2162. Thank you, Senator Dibble. Whenever you're ready, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members, for the opportunity to present Senate File 2162. I think, Mr. Chair, I'd mentioned to you that we were going to bring in an amendment, which has to do with an unrelated bill. The amendment, as I understand, is in the works. It's on its way. It should be here momentarily. Would you like to take testimony?
We have the packets.
This is, well, I know you have the A5. Okay. This would be amending the A5.
Okay, certainly.
So would you like, this is the amendment, Mr. Chair, is contents of agency bill that has to do with ignition interlock and some changes that they would need to make in how they manage the rules around ignition interlock. We do have the agency here who's ready to speak to it, and by the time they're done talking, hopefully the amendment would be here and we can see if the committee would be inclined to accept the amendment.
Testifier is ready to go?
Yes. Right. So, Mr. Chair, we're at that moment where we're just trying to save various proposals and ideas, and so we're just kind of linking on and kind of freeloading onto this bill to try to advance this agency initiative, which will then be carried in the Transportation Omnibus bill. So with that, certainly. We have...
welcome to the State and Local Government Committee. Please state your name for the record, and you may begin.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Don Knopp. I'm the Director of Budget and Risk Management for Driver and Vehicle Services within DPS. This amendment is seeking to request rulemaking authority for the Ignition Interlock Development Program, device program, sorry. There are currently some administrative gaps in the guidelines that we've developed for this program, and we would like to follow through with rulemaking to close those gaps.
All right, Senator Dibble. I think you have the copy of the amendment
yes,
in front of you. Senator Dibble, to your amendment.
So, Mr. Chair, this is the A6 amendment, which would amend the A5 delete everything amendment. And, you know, I'm supportive of the initiative by the agency and intend to pick this up in my omnibus bill. So we're hoping to get the approval of this committee, so then we won't have to drag the full omnibus bill back to this committee.
And maybe staff can guide us a little. So we would adopt the A5 amendment and then adopt the A6. Okay. Okay. Senator McQuaid moves the A5 amendment as amended by the A6 amendment. All right. Senator Dibble, do you have anything else to add for us? Members, any questions or comments on the amendment as amended? Senator Drazkowski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess I'm struggling to understand this additional rulemaking authority and what it's Can we ask why is this authority necessary?
To the testifier.
Certainly, thank you, Senator. There are some requirements in statute that don't provide us administrative authority to regulate the vendors that currently service the ignition interlock device program. And so we are seeking the rulemaking authority to clarify and add parity to the rules around those vendors and what our customers experience when they are a part of that program.
Mr. Chair. Just to add a little bit, Senator, just to add a little bit more, Senator Drazkowski, as I understand in the correct me if I'm incorrect, in the ignition interlock program, there are a number of vendors of a whole, with varying technologies and varying ways that their ignition interlock system works, and further the ignition interlock technology systems change over time. And so the initiative has a couple of parts to it. One is to add some staffing complement to the Department of Public Safety, Driver and Vehicle Service, or Department of Public Safety, so that they can more ably manage the changes that occur in the ignition interlock space. I hate that word. And also keep up with making sure that all the rules, all the administrative elements, et cetera, are kept up to date and up to speed. So I didn't understand that at first when the proposal came in from the agency, and then I was helped in understanding that this is a dynamic area with a lot of changes that occur over time, and so they need to stay abreast of those.
Senator Drazkowski.
Thank you, Senator Dibble.
All right. Any other questions or comments for Senator Dibble or the testifier? Senator Dibble, any final comments?
Nope. I appreciate the committee's consideration and support.
All right. Thank you, Senator Dibble. Seeing no further discussion, Senator Carlson moves Senate File 2162 as amended to. Oh, certainly. Senator McQuaid's motion for the A5 amendment as amended by the A6. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. The motion prevails. The amendment is adopted. Seeing Senator Carlson moves Senate File 2162 to be recommended to pass and re-referred to the Transportation Committee. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. The motion prevails. Senate File 2162, as amended, is recommended to pass and re-referred to the Transportation Committee. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members.
All right. Next up, we have Senate File 568. Senator Herr. Thank you. All right, Senator Herr, welcome to the State and Local Government Committee. Whenever you're ready, please begin.
Yeah, Chair Xiong, what an honor, and members of the state and local government. My salute to you as a public servant of our state, and also my salute to member of the SU who's sitting behind me. Thank you for hearing Senate File 586. This bill redefined veterans to include the Special Guerrilla Units, or SGU for short. The SGU is an American clandestine force in Laos during the Vietnam War, constituting mostly Hmong, the Highlander people of Southeast Asia. During the Vietnam War, or in this case, the Secret War in Laos, every capable Hmong young men and boys were recruited by the United States Department as proxy soldier, fighting for America, and young girls as nurses. That amount to 95% of Hmong in Laos to bear arms for this country during the Secret War in Laos from 1961 to 1975. That was the main reason that Hmong are here in Minnesota, because our elder shed blood for this country. Mr. Chair and member, as you know, to prove that point, all 8 Hmong American legislators, both bodies, 3 here in the Senate and 5 in the House, are children of the Hmong SGU. The population of Hmong in Laos during the Vietnam War was just about 100,000. Losing 35,000 Hmong SGU military lives to save Americans, and more in the aftermath, facing government persecution, nearly wipe out our entire Hmong population of Laos. Fortunately, we're here in the United States. So 50 years have passed. Those who bear arms for the United States, the SU men, women, and once was child soldier, are in their late years now. No more than 1,000 left in Minnesota. Let's give them full recognition by passing this legislation. And I'm honored too, Mr. Chair, that you are a descendant of Hmong and myself. So there's 3 generations here in this room of Hmong American and Hmong Minnesotan here, and asking for your support of this bill.
Certainly. Thank you, Senator Her, for your advocacy. First, testifier John Yang, Executive Director, please state your name and you may begin.
Chair Xiong and esteemed members of the State and Local Government Committee, my name is John B. Yang. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today in support of Senate File SF 685. Although I currently serve in the Minnesota Air National Guard, I am here in my own personal capacity. My testimony does not represent the views of U.S. military. I come before you as the Executive Director of Minnesota AAPI Veterans Association and as a proud member of the Hmong American community. 50 years after the Secret War in Laos during the Vietnam War, our Special Guerrilla Unit veterans remain without an official status or proper recognition in the U.S. history. Many continue to struggle with the war-related disability, bearing the lasting effects of their service. Like my grandfather, uncle, relatives, and elders who served before me, I have been deeply inspired by their courage. I know that without their sacrifices, I would not have been able to pursue my own American dream and serve my own nation. During the Secret War in Laos, thousands of Hmong soldiers funded by the CIA fought as U.S. proxy soldiers. They risked their lives to gather intelligence, undertake rescue missions, and protect American troops and assets. Over 30,000 SGU veterans paid the ultimate sacrifice, and another 50,000 died while fleeing persecution for their loyalty to the United States. The suffering was and continued to be very real. In my family, I witnessed the deep scars of PTSD in my uncle, who grapples the memories of war fought decades ago. This history is not confined in the past, it's woven into our everyday reality. Minnesota is home to one of the largest Hmong communities in the United States, one that has enriched cultural, economic, and social fabric of our state and nation, yet too many of our veterans remain unrecognized. This is merely a policy question. It's a matter of dignity, compassion, and humanity. We must not allow the bureaucratic barriers to overshadow the immense courage and sacrifices of these veterans. As Senate leaders, you hold the power to profoundly shape the legacy and secure the rightful place in U.S. history for the veterans. Their contribution marked a defining moment of Hmong people, bringing an end to centuries of displacement and persecution across Asia. 50 to 100 years from now, I want my children and grandchildren to know their sacrifices from the ancestors proudly as U.S. veterans and who fought bravely for this country. I want the future generations to understand the military legacy of our people, to appreciate the profound gratitude of this nation, and to feel inspired to carry on their legacy. So I respectfully ask for your support for Senate File 685, recognizing these veterans as true heroes. We stood for America when America needed them most. Now it's time for us to stand by them. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Yang. Next up, we have the Executive Director for the SGU Veterans. Please state your name and you may begin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Sa Vang. I was a former lieutenant in the CIA, recruited foot soldier in Secret War. I was the ammunition officer, which was in charge of the unloading ammunition military supply from the C-130 C-123 out of the airplane from Udon, Thailand to Long Cheng. I am one of the founder of the Special Guerrilla Unit Veteran and Family Organization. I'm here today to provide a brief overview of the military structure of the Secret War in Laos, which was a critical part of the Vietnam War. During the war, SGU soldiers operated under CIA guidance and the command of General Vang Pao in Laos, Military Region 2. Our forces were organized into group mobile units, which consisting of approximately 2,500 to 3,000 military personnel. Each GM unit worked closely with the CIA case officer and interpreter, who provide daily coordinating and intelligence gathering. We play a crucial role in collecting enemy's movement report, field intelligence, and casualty members, which were then layered to our superior officer. High-ranking CIA officers frequently visited our units to inspect military operations alongside General Vang Pao. When the Secret War ended in 1975, the Communist North Vietnamese and Pathet Lao soldiers targeted, persecuted our former SGU soldier, like myself. Facing imminent danger, I had no choice but flee my homeland to seek for refuge in the United States. In 2000, Congress passed H.R. 371, the Hmong Naturalization Act, which provides an expedite path to the U.S. citizen for SGU veterans and their spouse. Additionally, our service was acknowledged through a memorial plaque and dedicated a tree in Arlington Cemetery. In 2018, President Trump further honored our sacrifice by signing legislation granting burial right for our Hmong SGU veterans in U.S. national cemeteries. Today, I am standing before you to request you support and approve of SF 568. Our members were once around 7,000, but today we have less than 1,000 veterans here in the state. This bill is deeply personal to our surviving SGU veteran and spouse. We fought alongside the United States because we believe in its mission to defend freedom and democracy in Laos throughout Southeast Asia. I urge you to recognize our service and honor our sacrifice by voting yes on the bill. Thank you very much for your time and consideration. I have provided a brief report of the SGU service to you and some illustration photos that the Americans were there. It was not our war. It was American war, which caused Secret War. Thank you.
And are there any other additional testifiers, Senator Herr? All right. With that, I'll open up to the committee members. Any questions or comments? Senator McQuaid.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Senator Herr. Thank you so much for bringing this bill, and I look forward to strongly voting in favor and maybe joining as a co-author. I think this is incredibly crucial work, and I want to thank the testifiers and every veteran I see out in the audience for coming here today and being present, and thank you for your service. I don't think this country has ever won a war without people from other countries, and when they are now ours, when they're Americans too, it's only right that we honor their service. So thank you so much for all of your service and for coming and advocating so forcefully and beautifully.
Thank you, Senator McQuaid. Any other Senator Lang?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. And this one is, something I've been here 9 years, Senator Herr, and we've talked about this again and again, and you know how I stand on veteran status and what veteran status is. And first of all, gentlemen in the audience and Mr. Vang at the table, let me say that from my perspective, thank you very much for your service. Thank you on a deep level. As this concept of expanding veteran status goes, the veteran status that I know that I served is very defined, and it's very defined for reasons. There are people that served the United States military, much like Mr. Yang sitting at the table, that swore an oath to the Constitution, held your right hand up, entered the U.S. military, knowing that if you didn't meet the criteria, you would not be a veteran. And I know we use that term loosely. And gentlemen, you sure are veterans of the Vietnam War. The problem is when we talk about what veteran status means, not only to U.S. citizens, but to folks in Minnesota, it's pretty simple. You did 20 years or you served in a foreign war. And then the status that goes along with that is different from people that have prior service, is different from people that have served honorably. The veteran status is something different. I'm curious. I don't see anybody from either Department of Military Affairs or Veterans Affairs in the room. I don't see anybody from the Vietnam Vets Association that has largely stood against open. Oh, I don't know who that is.
He's from the VA.
Okay. So the VA is here. Senator Herr, I wholeheartedly agree with the pursuit that you're making. However, I'm going to be voting against this today. And it's a tough one for me. It truly is. But I'm very protective of what that status means. Realistically, they were, like you both said it, it's a proxy, right? In both of the conflicts that I've been involved with, I would be very upset if some of the third country nationals or any of the local individuals, if they were applying for status like this, I would be staunchly against this. Now, with that being said, again, thank you for your service. I truly appreciate it. Thank you.
Senator Ann Johnson-Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Senator Lang. Senator Herr, I have a question for you. Having grown up in northern Wisconsin, I'm also very familiar with the important role that the Hmong community has played in the Vietnam War and was very much involved in their immigration to Wisconsin as well as Minnesota. My question is, reflecting on what Senator Lang said, honestly, is there another community like the Hmong that served in a war and then came here in such great numbers? Are the Hmong unique in this way? And if anybody else on the committee can answer that question, I'm indeed interested in Senator Herr's response.
Thank you.
Senator Herr.
Thank you, Senator Johnson-Stewart. I'm going to see if I can clarify your question. Are you more specifically talking about Southeast Asian special unit, or are you talking about a global operation unit?
Senator Johnson-Stewart.
Mr. Chair, Senator Herr, I'm just asking, it seems like this is a unique population, but perhaps only unique to me because I'm not aware of others who have come to our nation after serving. And another clarifying question, all of your legislation applies to citizens, correct? So these are not just people who are here that served our country, but they're also naturalized citizens? Correct. Mr. Chair?
Senator Herr.
That is correct, Senator Johnson-Stewart. The reason I ask is that if you ask about the question whether there had been special force under who fought for America as a proxy soldier, there has, the Korean, the Filipino, and they already been put as a veteran status already. They have been upgraded as veteran status and acknowledged federally. There may be more, but that's just as far as I know. In terms of Southeast Asian and the Secret War in Laos, it's predominantly Hmong, and the Mountain Yard, which community are in North and South Carolina. So Hmong are the more unique here in our state, being the largest Asian American group, and also participate in many areas of our state. So I think I answered your question.
Yes. Mr. Chair.
Senator Johnson-Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senator Herr and those in the seats beyond, I'm so grateful for your service. I think this is an important bill. I, too, will be voting yes for it, and I thank you for bringing it to our attention. So thank you.
All right. Any other member questions or comments? Senator Carlson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Senator Herr, for bringing this forward. To tell you part of my story, I was almost drafted, and I was found not to be fit for military service. And yet the people that I went to the federal building and they went through their physical, they were allowed, they were drafted, they were part of the people that went into the service that I've always thought that they defended me personally, because I couldn't do what they did. And so when we look at the people that in that area of Asia that they were fighting for me, a person they never met, a government they never experienced, an idea that they were convinced that this is important enough to put their lives on the line, I think that they are the real veterans of the secret war. And I think it's really important that we give them not just the thanks, but the honor of being true veterans of that era of United States history. And it was something that a lot of us of my age experienced. And I think that, again, my friends who didn't come back, they did it for me. It was for me. And you did it for me. So I thank you, and I will support this bill strongly. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Carlson. Any other members or for questions or comments? Senator Herr, I thank you for working on this. I know you've been here for a long time, beginning before all of us even got here, working on this issue, and I know all the veterans here have been working hard for over 20 years. I remember when my grandfather and them were advocating for, the citizenship and other, bills for Hmong veterans. That front lawn used to be filled with 1,000 veterans coming to rally here at the Capitol, and today we can only bring only a handful here, and so that truly is sad, but I hope that future generations here will see the efforts that they do. lũ chặt tiệt tới những bún gạo mua cái bây giờ cũng tụt đầu bún gạo thì xin hôm nay chỉ chọn này cho là sư lý cho là tôi xin đấy bây giờ tôi còn thâu đầu không nó lý cho là tôi thâu đầu này cho lên cho tụi này. And thank you, Senator Her. Any final comments for your bill?
I thank you, member, for listening, and I appreciate your voice of support and also voice of gratitude. And I'm sure the veterans will be, the SU veteran will be very, very appreciated. And I hope that those who may think of their vote differently, I hope that you will change your mind. It's a warrior code. It's the defending our democracy that's important. And I know there's a lot of technicality involved, but at the end of the line, I hope that Senator Lane would change his mind in supporting this legislation to confirm the SU as veterans officially. Patting it back is important, but putting paper will suffice in a longest run. If the Senate or the legislature don't recognize the men and women who serve in the secret war, we're going to recognize ourselves. The Jackson Cemetery, just about a few blocks from here, now is populated by their colleagues. And if you look at, I think maybe on your package has some photo of their tombstone. If you go to the Jackson Cemetery there, almost every tombstone had military symbol on it because America failed to acknowledge us. So we have gonna acknowledge ourselves. The Hmong population in Minnesota, Hmong Minnesota will continue to grow. We don't want to miss the opportunity of not recognizing our forebear, our ancestor. Do we want to wait till the 67 senators are all Hmong? It's time now, the perfect time, where there are senators of 1.5 generation of Hmong descent, a Hmong American like yourself, Chair Xiong, who are born in Minnesota, St. Paul, Minnesota, to recognize our elders who sacrificed so much for this country. And legislation is defined by people, not intuition or not organization, but by people, by members who are here. And so let's make that happen. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Senator Her.
Mr. Chair.
Senator McQuaid.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would recommend that this bill be passed and sent on to the Committee on Finance, and I'd like to request a roll call.
All right, a roll call being requested. Roll call will be given. Seeing that there's no further discussion, Senator McQuaid moves that Senate File 568 be recommended to pass and re-referred to the Finance Committee. All in favor, roll call will begin.
Chair Xiong?
Yes.
Vice Chair Gustafson?
Yes.
Vice Chair McQuaid?
Yes.
Lead Lang?
No.
Senator Barr?
No.
Senator Carlson?
Yes.
Senator Swedzinski?
Yep.
Senator Drzeskowski?
No.
Senator Fateh?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, repeat that one more time.
Yes.
Senator Johnson Stewart?
Yes.
Senator Corian?
No.
Senator Miller? Yes. Mr. Chair, there are 8 ayes and 4 noes.
With there being 8 ayes and 4 noes, the motion prevails. Senate File 568 is recommended to pass and re-referred to Finance. Congratulations, Senator Her, and good luck with your journey.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. All right, next up we have the office, we have Senator Boldon, Senate File 1354. All right, Senator Boldon, whenever you're ready, you may proceed.
Thank you, Chair Xiong. I am before you with a bill that actually is a vehicle bill, and so if what I'm going to speak to is the A1 amendment, which is a delete all amendment. So this bill, Mr. Chair, and I'm grateful to be before the committee with this, is related to certified midwives. Minnesota has, and I'll be brief as I know you are busy with a full agenda today, but Minnesota has a maternal health care desert in many areas, and certified midwives help address health disparities faced by marginalized and underserved pregnant people. Also, the lack of certified midwife licensure creates a barrier to midwifery practice for those who getting a nursing degree is not the right thing for them. So this bill aims to add a new path into midwifery through as certified midwives. This bill is bipartisan in both bodies. It actually passed off the Senate floor unanimously last session. It just did not come back to us through conference committee. So this proposed legislation introduces, as I said, licensure for certified midwives under the Board of Nursing. There's no opposition to this bill. It is supported by the Board of Nursing, as well as many in the ecosphere of midwives. And so I am here before you for the rulemaking provisions, which is the first part of the amendment through lines 2.10. And this language is just mirrors the language that is in effect for certified nurse midwives. So we're just making this the same path or the same process just for a new path into midwifery, Mr. Chair.
All right, and looks like you have an amendment, A1. The A1, so Senator McQuaid moves the A1 amendment to Senate File 1354. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. The A1 amendment is adopted. Senator Boldon, any final comments? Members, questions or comments? Seeing no further.
Wait, Senator Xiong.
Senator Johnson, sir.
Thank you. I just have a quick question for Senator Boldon. So am I to understand that then there'll still be a certified nurse midwife, but then a certified midwife as well? Two different tracks?
Yes.
Excellent.
Senator Boldon.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, that is correct. We're not changing anything with the certified nurse midwives. We are simply creating an additional path into midwifery.
Thank you. Important.
Thank you. All right, seeing no further discussion, Senate File 1354, as amended, is laid over for possible inclusion. Thank you, Senator Boldon.
Thank you very much.
Next up, we have the Office of the State Auditor to give us an overview. Welcome, Auditor Blaha. Whenever you're ready to go, you may proceed.
All right. Thank you, Chair Xiong, members of the committee. You may see several items that we have sent along to this meeting. Do not worry, I'm not going over all of it. And again, I really appreciate time to talk about what we've been up to in this busy time. And I also brought along with me Operations Division Director Matt Lindeman, in case we have any questions. So with that, oh no, I see headers. Yeah, I had animation. That's why I was so late. I'm really proud of that animation at the beginning there. Again, many of you know us well already. A couple of you are new, and so I'm going to be just going over the top lines and kind of give you an update on where we've been since we last talked. A reminder, we oversee about $40 billion in local government activity, and with the statewide single audit, another $20 billion in federal funds spent at the state level. We do that in three main ways. We have examinations, and that includes audits, legal compliance, investigations. We do analysis, we collect data, we build it together in a report so you can have some context. We also provide some comparison tools. And then we have some support that we're able to offer, including training, accounting tools like CTAS, you may be familiar with, that's a small government accounting system. And we provide a lot of one-on-one support as well. And now I'm going to very quickly zip through the next things, which don't you wish you saw this more often? All right, there we go. Let's take a look at, based on what we've done with the funds we had from the last session. We were able to really shore up a lot of things. In operations, we were able to provide increased administrative support. We have decreased vacancies as a result. We've also had a township specialist where we're now able to focus on townships, give them more direct support, also work to improve reporting. Special investigators, we are adding investigators, which is at a perfect time because we've had such an increase in public requests. The call volume has almost doubled. And some of these things are conspiracies they're asking us to debunk, but several of them are things that as we see the public get more engaged. And that's a good sign. When it comes to technology, we have hired out a chief information officer, new IT staff. We've set up compliance dashboards. We've improved CTAS and added, particularly in the security area. We've also stepped up to build a framework for you around local government oversight. It is quite complicated. So we set up a group called the Audit and Reporting Group, ARG, hence the ship. I'm inordinately proud of that. And so our mission is to basically improve local government reporting and auditing in light of public finance shortages. So we have a group of public sector, private sector auditors, legislators, local officials. Hey, is there a legislator? Let's see, I'm looking at this group. Thank you, Senator Gustafson, for being one of our on our team. And we are examining types, timing, thresholds, and basis of accounting. And in fact, there are a couple bills moving through right now you've seen me testify on, and that those new metrics came out of this work. And we are also trying to build out more tools for you all to be able to analyze this patchwork quilt we have right now. All right, we've also had a big couple of years of reviews. We had our peer review. We hit the top mark as we have done for years. We also asked an external reviewer to come and assess our efficiency in auditing so we can get our audit hours down so that we can make best use of our funds. We are finding some efficiencies already, and I think that will lead to lower hours on some of our audits. We are also making changes in our technology in response as well. We also had a performance review from the legislative auditor, and for the first time they went through and looked at our technology, which has also helped us look at best practices. It was a really helpful audit. I highly recommend it for anyone who hasn't had one. It's really going to get you in a good spot. We've also, let me go back here just a second. We've also, that's it, just said that. So our change items, you may have seen the change items we submitted 2 forecasts ago. And because of that, they have changed significantly. But our main focus is how do we handle essential oversight in a time of a national public finance shortage? And be clear, right now, 75% of all certified public accountants could retire today, right now. And that is having ripple effects through everyone in public finance and, frankly, private finance, too. So as a result, we were looking at things like, again, operating adjustment to keep doing what we're doing. We were looking at things like trainers, both internal and external, to widen the pool of people who can take this work. We were looking at IT auditors as IT becomes a bigger part of a regular audit. As well as a data warehouse, in a similar way to what you saw in one of the governor's proposals. Is so that we're able to take advantage of new technologies that come down. Let's get our data in a place so that when AI is something we can fit in, or machine learning, or someone else can take our data and do that with it, that we are in a good place to do that. I'm going to skip this because let's just be honest. These were a really good idea in October. And I know you have some difficult choices. So our funding priorities are these. Our operating adjustment keeps us from going backwards. And another one is increasing pay. Most of my staff is in either MAPE, AFSCME, or MMA. As a result, the way I can raise wages is if their contracts go up. So places where you are able to increase pay would really go a long way to help us fill our vacancies. Pay, as you can imagine, with the desperate shortage in public finance, pay in the private sector is jumping. Any way that we can help try to keep pace a little bit would be a huge help. And with that, we would be available for questions, or we could wait and be available as well. We'll also testify after the bill.
Certainly. Members, any questions or comments to the auditor? Senator Drazkowski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Auditor Blaha. Auditor Blaha, how many offices do you have in the state currently?
6, right?
Senator Blaha, Secretary, Auditor Blaha.
I can't wait to see what our next title is going to be. Thank you, Chair Xiong, Senator Drazkowski. We have 6. They are our lowest cost, one of our lowest cost items because they're in Greater Minnesota, which is a great place to have space. Our Greater Minnesota staff are also the staff that are most likely to spend the most time working directly in office. So they're well used. If I could move everybody to the cost of the space we have in Duluth or Moorhead, I'd do that. So yes, we have 6. They're small office front spaces, storefront spaces.
Senator Drazkowski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, 6 was the number I was looking for. Did that change since 2 years ago? Was it the same number you had then?
Auditor Blaha.
It's true, but the size of those offices has changed. Is that correct? How would you want to answer that? Yeah, they're pretty much the same, though if we do see some shifts in staffing, we would consider closing an office. One of the things that we're learning as we're going over our efficiency is, are we able to break down our teams in a way that can work more flexibly across the state? They already do that, started doing that a while ago. If we do that, then my goal would be to have offices where we have the people. I think these jobs are good jobs and the whole state deserves them. And if Bemidji State is putting out a really good crowd of auditors and we can rent a small space to get them on board, it would be, I think, a good return on our investment. But again, we're always watching that to see if we need to drop any. We've also reduced our footprint in St. Paul significantly.
Senator Drazkowski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, Auditor Blaha, I remember from the discussion 2 years ago, those offices were largely empty. Are they still largely empty?
Auditor Blaha.
Chair Xiong, Senator Drazkowski. No, I wouldn't say that. In fact, our Greater Minnesota staff are the ones that probably put the most in main office time in our remote work policy. So yeah, they're full and used. In fact, we had to move one because it was getting a little cozy. One person had her monitors stacked up in the most wildest way because it was too tight. So yeah, they're well used.
Senator Drazkowski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, Auditor Blaha, of your staff, what percentage of them show up at the office to work each day, and what percent of them are home in their jammies?
Auditor Blaha.
Senator Xiong, Senator Drazkowski, my staff works hard wherever they are. I would say on average, we have staff that are in 1 to 2 days a week. I have never seen my staff in jammies, and in fact, even with this remote work policy, not only have we seen, of course, increase in staff morale and increased ability to recruit and retain staff, we have not seen a drop in productivity at all.
So,
Senator Drazkowski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, Auditor Blaha, so 1 to 2 days a week, 5-day work week. So that tells me that you're looking at 20 to 40% of the workforce shows up to work, and the other 60 to 80% must be home in their jammies. So we have the governor now issuing a directive to all of the state workforce except for apparently your office, the Secretary of State, and the Attorney General have different direction. Why aren't you trying to bring the workers back to work like the rest of the world is?
Chair Xiong, Senator Drazkowski, I do want to first call out the idea that to imply that my staff isn't working hard, I think is terribly misguided and absolutely inappropriate. Second, we build our staffing plans based on results. We know how long an audit should take. We can monitor that from any space. I would suggest that if the only way you can monitor your staff is to have them sitting in front of you, you need new managers, not necessarily new remote work policy. In fact, I would suggest that because we know this so well, and because of the kind of work an auditor does, I mean, you can imagine right now how an accountant works. What you're imagining is correct. A lot of independent, a lot of focus work, need a lot of quiet, need a lot of space. And our staff really appreciates that. Again, we base it on results. You're getting things in on time, the people you serve feel supported, you are able to keep your quality up, your training up, and are well connected with your colleagues. Then we judge whether, how much time you need to be either in your home office or the main office based on results.
Thank you. Senator Drazkowski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Auditor Blaha. Well, you know, I think Minnesota is watching, and they're wondering if their government is actually following the rest of the world and doing what the rest of the world is doing. The rest of the world is realizing that we need people to show up at work in order to be the most productive. And to simply be in denial about that is not really how the leadership of our government should operate. That's my opinion, Mr. Chair. And we've got 6 offices now that have employees into them, 20 to 40%. They're about 20 to 40% filled. Minnesotans are paying for that too, as well as the lack of productivity. And Auditor Blaha, you know, they may be home with quiet time, but we want to make sure they're not sleeping too. We want to make sure they're here working with their colleagues where they get the most productivity, and apparently you disagree with that, so you're heading in a different direction. It's one of the few things I've agreed with the governor on. He's actually going in the right direction, and Auditor Blaha, I hope you reconsider as we look at trying to better serve Minnesotans instead of something that might not be the objective here. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Auditor Blaha.
Yes, Senator Xiong, Senator Drazkowski. Again, we are going to base our work, like all of our work, on evidence. And so if you have evidence that suggests there's no productivity, I am not seeing that. In fact, I'm seeing the opposite. I would like to see that.
Thank you. Next up, thank you, Auditor Blaha, for your testimony. We have next up the Secretary of State, or the Secretary of State's office. All right. Whenever you are ready to go, you may proceed.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Steve Simon, Minnesota Secretary of State. With me here is someone familiar to many of you, Nicole Freeman, our Director of Government Relations. Thanks for carving out some time during what I know is a very, very busy season, and I appreciate the challenges that you have before you. We have a few slides as well. I want to keep this crisp and short. And I want to start, as I always do in these presentations, by reminding members of the committee, and we have new members of the committee who weren't here in the last biennium, that we are a small profit center for the state of Minnesota. We make a lot more than we cost. So if you add everything up, every single cost of the Office of Secretary of State, I'm talking payroll, Post-it notes, paper clips, everything. You add everything up, we bring in a whole lot more that we give to you. We don't keep that money, we give that back to the general fund. I'll explain that in a moment. So the Office of Minnesota Secretary of State currently has 117 staff in the 4 divisions of the office: business services, elections, administration, and safe at home. As you can see, hopefully we'll have the slides up. No? Well, I'll just describe it. The largest part of our office by far is not the one you think it is. It's not elections, for which we're probably most and best known. It is business services. I think we have it up right here. So you'll see that that is the largest, that's the lion's share of the employees in our office. So the Business Services Division reviews, approves, and files articles of incorporation and amendments for all businesses and nonprofit organizations conducting business in the state. I like to say we're the welcome mat for Minnesota businesses, because the very first thing you're going to do when you start a business is most often not getting office space or hiring people or getting insurance. It's making the thing come alive legally. And you do that through our office by filing with our office. So we maintain records filed under the Uniform Commercial Code regarding collateral pledged to secure loans, as well as administering the Central Notification System, or CNS, for farm product liens. And we file and maintain statewide federal tax liens. So the UCC division in our office files an average of 157,000 UCC filings per year, processes an average of just about 32,000 UCC orders per year. The division also contains a notary and apostille unit, registering notaries and certifying documents for international use, such as adoptions. So in 2024, the office authenticated just over 29,500 documents for international use, up from 20,500 just a few years ago in 2018. If you look at total filings, the work of this Business Services Division continues to increase significantly. Total filings handled by the division in 2024 were just over 970,000, compared with just 770,000 as recently as 2018. That's an increase of over 25% in just a few years. So this is the good part. This is what I alluded to at the beginning, which is that we are a small profit center for the state of Minnesota. So these increases in business services are the primary driver of our continued growth in contributions to the state general fund contributions. So over the last 5 years, our office has deposited over $107 million into the general fund. And the amount that we contribute per year continues to increase. So here's the latest and greatest number. As of today, our net contribution to the general fund will be $29 million. Again, over and above every single thing we cost in any way, physical, salaries, office supplies, you name it, we give back to the general fund $29 million. So that's above and beyond what we cost. And while I've shared a number like this in the past, the number continues to grow not because fees have been increased. So the reason for all that extra money is because of the fees that our office charges that you set in the legislature. We don't set them, you do. And most of those fees haven't been raised since 1992 or in some cases 1989. But the reason that that money is increasing isn't because the fees have gone up. They haven't gone up by 1 penny in decades. It's because more and more people are paying those fees. More and more people are filing businesses. There's more commerce, commercial activity, et cetera. So I want to go on to the elections division. This is the one that we're best known for. The next largest division in the office is elections, and what we do there is within the jurisdiction of the Elections Committee, Senator Carlson, but I want to give a brief overview since the base budget for the entire Office of Secretary of State is within this committee's jurisdiction. So the elections work of the office is primarily focused on elections administration, but the office also supports a county election security navigator team as well as a voter outreach team. So what do? The Elections Division trains and certifies county election administrators, administers and supports the statewide voter registration system, or SVRS, which is the database that houses all voter records within the state, and supports absentee and mail balloting. The division also administers the database of candidates and the system for gathering and reporting unofficial election results on election night, tests and certifies all elections equipment systems used throughout the state, conducts post-election performance audits, and administers the state canvassing board that certifies all election results. Also develops and supports online voter tools like online voter registration, online absentee ballot applications, polling place finder, and other voter information tools. And finally, the Elections Division oversees the implementation of new laws. And as you know better than anyone, over the last couple of years, we've had a lot of new laws that impact that administration function. Things like restoring the vote, things like automatic voter registration, things like new language access requirements, pre-registration for 16 and 17-year-olds, expansion of early voting, and last year, the Minnesota Voting Rights Act. So people tend to think of elections as occurring once every 2 years, but as you know, this work is year-round. For example, and by happy coincidence, today, as many of you know, there are 16 jurisdictions conducting elections, including a state Senate primary today. So from a county commissioner, special election, to school district elections, the work of the division is constant and ongoing. One other new function I wanted to point out to you in recent years, and this slide is just to note that this is relatively new. Prior to 2017, our office pretty rarely processed grants. But since 2017, the office has processed tens of millions in grants and reimbursements to local governments. That's mostly your doing in the legislature. You have basically enabled us to be sort of a pass-through entity where you will appropriate money and we will administer it based on a formula that is agreed to either in law or elsewhere, and sometimes it's federal dollars as well. Next, I want to talk briefly about the administration division of our office. That's the next smallest division within the office. And this includes communications, legal, government relations, but also some other core administrative functions. So things like maintaining the statutory open appointment process for boards and commissions. Some of you know, because your constituents are interested in these boards and commissions, we have a lot of them in Minnesota. And the legislature over the last few years has created a lot more volunteer boards and commissions. We don't do any of the appointing. That all happens in the governor's office, but we do run the intake process and the selection process that others ultimately conclude with a selection. We also do certification and maintenance of official documents and session laws. And of course, there's the component of the office which handles the service, my service on the Executive Council and the State Board of Investment. So as you can see on this slide, the official documents in boards and commission work has seen significant growth. Finally, I want to just highlight the Safe at Home program. That's the fourth and final part of our office. Some of you are very familiar with this program. Safe at Home provides address confidentiality services for Minnesotans who have significant safety needs. They're often people who have suffered domestic violence, stalking, or have professional safety concerns, like judges and prosecutors. They can enroll in the program. And basically what happens is the program partners with social service agencies statewide to enroll people in the program. And once enrolled, a participant is provided a substitute address that they can use as their legal address for all purposes, public and private. And many of you who have been around here for a while know that this is a program that has enjoyed virtually unanimous, strong, bipartisan support, even in bad times, even in bad budget times, for the work that it does, which is truly life-saving, truly life-saving. Enrollment has continued to grow, which is sort of business bittersweet, as you can see. I say bittersweet because it's great that we have something in state law in Minnesota that enables people to get sanctuary and safety and security in a program like this. On the other hand, it is sad that more and more people need a drastic remedy like this. I think you'll agree with me that to enroll in a program like this, like Safe at Home, where your true home physical address is unknown to everybody, that is a drastic step, and you don't take it lightly, and you don't take it unless things are really, really in a bad place. Fortunately or unfortunately, the number of people who fit into that category has gone up markedly in recent years. So you can see in this chart the increase just between 2022 and 2024 in applications, participants, household, et cetera. You can see that the bottom two numbers related to the mail the office handles for participants has risen by a lot. That's because postal costs have increased 41% between 2022 and 2024. That's not our fault. That's the U.S. Postal Service that has raised rates, price of stamps, the price of postage. So we're in a way held hostage to that kind of price driver. And although it's the smallest area of the office by staffing level, it's incredibly important. The program helps people keep themselves safe and their families safe, and participants have given permission to share some statements about how this program has impacted me. You can read those for yourself. In closing, I just want to mention in the presentation that all area of the office's work have seen continued growth from Minnesotans seeking services from our office. They're not growth that's driven by FTEs or office space or office supplies or anything else. It's that more Minnesotans, particularly on the business side, are using those services. And that growth, in addition to cost pressures such as insurance and benefit costs, salary increases, postage increases that are sky high, are why we have been asking for an operating increase. This is just to keep running in place. This isn't anything new and fancy. This is just to run in place, do the stuff we're already doing for the people we're doing it for. That's what the operating increase is intended to do. So our hope has always been that we could get as close as possible to a full funding of our operating increase so we can maintain current staffing and services. When I gave this same presentation in 2021, 4 years ago, our office's net contribution to the general fund was $22 million over the biennium. Now, again, to repeat, that contribution has grown to $29 million per biennium. So above and beyond everything we cost, we are generating and giving back to you via the general fund $29 million. And the operating increase that we've been asking for is less than the growth in our general fund contribution. So we're asking for this much more, and the amount that we are giving back has gone up proportionally a lot more than that. So we're a good investment. I know the committee has been pressed for time. I'm happy to answer questions now, later, meet with any of you offline, text with you on evenings and weekends, whatever you want. I want to be accessible and available to you at all times. Oh, it's next week. I'm sorry. Yes, the Senate election special is next week. I misspoke. Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary of State
Thank you.
Simon. Members' questions or comments? Senator Barr.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Secretary Simon, just curious, because the $14 million a year that you generate from fees and licensing and things like that
Right.
goes back to the general fund.
Right.
Has there been, do you have any proposal to cut that, cut the fees? We're obviously charging more than it actually costs. And I know you don't want to be at dead zero because, fluctuations and whatnot, but is there any proposals that would cut that to where we'd get down to $6 or $5 million coming back to the general fund?
Secretary of State Simon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Senator. I know of no proposals to do that. I don't have the table in front of me, but I've shared with many of you. Most of the fees that we charge haven't been raised by you, by the legislature. I don't mean literally the people in these seats, but this body. The last one that I know of to have been raised was 1992. 3 or 4 of them were 1989. So the one that sticks in my head is a business corporation, a common filing. Someone wants to start a business and it's a business corporation. That fee has remained at, I think, $135, I think that's right, since 1989. So we literally have not raised it 1 penny. I'm not talking about inflationary increase, I'm talking about any increase since 1989. And by the way, Senator, interestingly enough, I would never claim, and no one would, that Minnesota is sort of a low tax haven. But this is one instance where we sort of are in our own small way in one sense. In addition to the fee that hasn't been raised since 1989, Minnesota is one of only 10 states in the country where when you refile your entity every year, you don't have to pay. You only pay at the outset. So someone who started a business in 1997 paid $135 in 1997. You do have to renew every year, but that is free. You don't have to, as you do in 40 other states, pay another fee every year. So the roundabout answer to your question is no. I know of no proposals to reduce the fees, but they haven't been increased even by a penny since 1992 or 1989.
Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. Senator Barr.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So Secretary Simon, I'm well aware I have not paid a renewal since 2003 when I filed my initial incorporation myself. So I'm well aware of that one, and I do appreciate that. I know we're an outlier on that, but I would love to have a discussion with your office on which fees we could reduce to try and get that into line what you actually need to operate that across the board, whichever ones need to be cut. But that particular one, filing for an incorporation, that one seems to be about right. But I'm sure there's some other places where we could get that down a whole lot lower than where we're at now for the amount of money we're taking in. Love to have that conversation.
Mr. Chair, if
Thank
I
you.
might.
Senator, Secretary of State Simon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and Senator Barr. I mean, obviously that's in your laps. You set the fees. We don't. The only thing I just want to make sure, maybe I misheard, but I just want to make sure that there's no connection between the fee and what it costs to run our office, right? We throw it over the fence, as some have said. Whatever you set, we only take in what you say we can. So in whatever the budget is. So we don't gain it all. If you were to raise a fee, it still goes to the general fund. So it's not that we're keeping it for our operations. It's just something that you have over the decades set for us to charge the public. That's all. I just want to make that point clear. Yeah.
Senator Drazkowski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Secretary Simon. Appreciate having you here in committee. You know, Secretary, when the agencies want an increase, they bring the fees themselves in the bill, in their bill proposals. So, you know, it would be nice if we had agencies, organizations, executive branch agencies like yours, to come forward and actually reduce the fees. And even an ardent liberal like you would have to admit, Mr. Secretary, that when you're collecting $14 million too much, that's no longer a fee. Those are truly taxes, and it even goes into the tax category. But that's not my question. It's just a comment. So, Mr. Secretary, I have to ask you, as I do all of them that come here, what percentage of your workforce is actually coming to work, and what percentage are at home in their jammies?
I can give you an
Secretary.
Thank you, Mr.
Simon.
Chair, and Senator Drazkowski. I can give you exact numbers, not just percentages. We have 117 in our office. 23 are telework folks. I can assure you they are not in their jammies. They are, I think, every single one an IT employee. And anticipating your next question, perhaps, having listened to the questioning of the state auditor, I will tell you this. The decision by our office, which predates COVID, by the way, to allow those 23 people to work remotely is a hard-headed business decision. It's not sentimental. It's not going soft. It's a hard-headed business decision. Here's why. They are all IT professionals. They are frequently poached by private industry, as they should be. They're super talented and great at what they do. If I were in private industry, I'd want to poach our folks too. They're really talented people. We cannot compete with private industry for IT folks on salary. We just can't do it. We can't compete with them. We got to compete on other means. If we want to keep smart and talented people in that sector, I don't know about other sectors, but that sector, we got to compete on a basis other than salary. And this is a basis on which we have successfully competed with private industry by keeping our folks because this works for them. I will note that a number of them work in greater Minnesota. So another added byproduct or benefit from where I sit is that we're not forcing everyone who wants to work in our office to live in the metro area. We have people working for the Office of Secretary of State who work remotely in other areas. So make no mistake, this is a brass tacks business decision about maintaining competitiveness, maintaining the edge, and making sure that we can compete when it comes to quality and talent. That's why we allow 23 people of our 117 to work remotely.
Senator Drazkowski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. So of the balance then, all of them are coming to work each day? Is that what you said, Secretary Simon?
Secretary Simon.
Yes, Mr. Chair and Senator Drazkowski, that's correct. All the others, other than the 23, come into the office every day, as far as I know. I mean, there might be exceptions here and there, but yes.
Secretary of State Simon.
And Mr.
Senator Drazkowski.
Mr. Chair and Secretary Simon, I'll ask you offline how you can ensure to us they're not in their jammies, those 23. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. And members, Senator Johnson-Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Secretary Simon. I think when you and I were talking in my office, you were describing what those remote workers did, and the way that we know they're not in their jammies is, as I remember, they are out visiting other workers, doing IT responses, et cetera. I'm pretty sure we'd hear if state workers were showing up at offices in their pajamas, but maybe Secretary Simon can confirm that.
Thank you.
All right. Secretary Simon.
Mr. Chair and Senator Johnson-Stewart, yes, I can confirm that no one's in their jammies. I can confirm that we do have employees, not necessarily the ones that I mentioned, but others who go around the state literally last year to all 87 counties, no exception. And they met with IT staff and elections administrators and county administrators in all 87 counties, with no exceptions, in person, not Zoom. They went there. And so they very much are out and about doing that. And by the way, the other thing I would say, and I was speaking with someone before the hearing about this who might be testifying later, I don't want to blow his cover, but the thing about these IT employees is they are very much, you can track productivity in real time from what they're doing. These aren't sort of soft skill types of positions, right? They're not doing analysis or writing papers or whatever. These are people doing IT stuff. You can see what they're doing. And the quantity, you can measure what they're doing. So we know that this has had actually a good effect on productivity. We're not guessing. It's not a qualitative, know it when you see it kind of thing. We could look at the metrics and know that they're doing their work, doing it well, doing it exceptionally well, and with great talent and skill.
Senator Johnson-Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Secretary Simon. I just want to reflect, as I mentioned, the Secretary and his staff did come to my office, and we went through some things. I've interacted with you on some other issues, and the same with Auditor Blaha. I just want to say very loudly how impressed I am at both of your passion and your commitment and your willingness to answer any questions I have. I can't believe how excited Auditor Blaha is about her job. And I'm certain 100% she would be willing to sit and talk to any constituent, not just a legislator. So to both of you, thank you for your good work. And you know, I think you've just demonstrated with all sorts of performance measures that your staff really is committed and doing the work that we expect them to do. So I just wanted to offer up my thanks for that.
All right. Senator Cran.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Secretary Simon, the bill we're going to take up just after your testimony is Article 6 of business filing fees actually shows you're requesting increases in filing fees for which you just described. We've already set them $29 million too high. So what would be the reason for the increase in the filing fees when we already have a general fund contribution of $29 million?
Secretary Simon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Senator Coran. Well, first, let me take issue with a premise, if I may, respectfully, with your question. So we're bringing a lot of money through these fees. That's true. It's also true that they have been raised. I wouldn't say, though, I don't get the logic that that's an over-collection in the sense that the reason the fees are going up is that more people are paying them. It's not that any individual is being inconvenienced more or having to pay more. It's that instead of X, it's X times 2 or X times 3. That's what's bringing in the money. And so it's a matter of volume. That's the reason why the money's going up. It's not sort of an over-collection or anything like that. I leave all that to you. I don't want to disclose conversations I had with the chair unless he wants me to. But We were open to ways of financing certain things. This committee has in its bill made a choice to do that through raising fees. I will note that the House has taken a different tack, and that's okay. That'll be settled, I assume, in a conference committee. But our posture, generally speaking, was, hey, here's what we're looking for, and we leave it to all of you to figure out how you get there, honestly. And I've said the same thing to the members of the House as well.
Mr. Chair.
Senator Corrigan.
Secretary Simon, yeah, I appreciate it. We get we set the fees. Well, you'll look forward to a bill that we will put together to have an annual review of the fees, because it is an overtaxation, right? And so, like most government services, we should collect what we, right? No, pay no more, pay no less, collect what we need to make sure we cover the costs so you can function properly. I think that's the goal. But as you call it out every year, it's a revenue generator. And right. So we have been overtaxing. Yes, collectively, we all share that with the legislature, and we'll propose a whole set of new fees, and with consultation, as Senator Barr talked about with you. I just think it's interesting that we're going to increase the fees. I get it. They're all different, and maybe the balance of the fees needs to accommodate the actual cost of that particular service, and I think we can have that conversation. At the high level, it's probably an agency we should not prune right? We want you to be efficient, but it's a tax. It's an additional tax outside the burden and the obligation they have to mandatorily report to those agencies just to exist in the state of Minnesota as a business and or other services that you support. So thank you.
Any other members? Senator Carlson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Mr. Secretary, as you well know, I've been kind of a tag-along to some of these meetings that we've had with other secretaries of state and other election administrators. And overall, the praise that you personally and the Minnesota election system has gotten from folks bipartisanly from several states has been impressive. And so I think, and by the way, they do look at us as leaders in instituting filters, instituting checks and balances, things like that. And now we're hearing about a lot of federal attempts at restrictions and voter suppressions. And I'm wondering from you if you have some heartburn on certain issues. Now, we know that there's a lot of them that are already in court. But if there's anything that we need to be concerned about so that we start to prepare ahead and make sure that our election system is protected and that our ability to access the ballots is protected. So I'm wondering if there's anything that you have a heartburn about that may be coming towards us in the states where it takes over state elections and tries to put them into federal election systems.
Right.
Secretary Sutton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and Senator Carlson. Thanks, and I would hardly call your role tag along. I think you're referring to a particular conference where you too were, and this was totally bipartisan, nonpartisan actually, conference that we both attended where you too were received a lot of praise for your work and commanded a lot of respect from people around the country. So I would say this, yeah, there are a couple things that are blinking on our dashboard from the federal level. One, I have to be a little bit careful about talking about because it is, as you said, in litigation. The president a couple weeks ago issued an executive order about federal elections. And so Minnesota has joined as one of 19 states suing to roll back most, possibly all of that executive order simply on the basis of separation of powers. This much I can say because it's out there in the filing. You know, our position is that Article 1, Section 4 of the U.S. Constitution makes clear that time, place, and manner of elections are the purview of the states unless Congress steps in, which occasionally it has, like the Voting Rights Act of 1965. But it doesn't say any president, this or anyone else, can by executive order wave a wand and intercede in those processes. So we'll see what the court says. I've said enough. That's in litigation. The other one, though, that is coming down the pike that does concern me is the Federal SAVE Act, which is slated to be heard in the U.S. House of Representatives probably on Thursday. We don't know for sure, but that's the latest best guess. And the SAVE Act would do something that on its surface might, to a lot of folks, seem really reasonable, and I understand that. It would provide documentary proof of citizenship in order to register to vote. Now, a little level setting. All of us, 100% of us in this room, want an election system that is safe and fair and secure and that enables only eligible voters on whatever basis, age, citizenship, residency, anything else, only eligible voters and no one else to vote. Fortunately, in Minnesota, we've done a very good job of that, in particular on the citizenship issue. Some of you may have noted, but it's worth repeating, that last summer, a professor at the University of St. Thomas Law School did an exhaustive review, analysis, study on exactly this issue in Minnesota. You can look it up. You can Google it. And he, in his findings, looked at 10 years' worth of Minnesota voting from 2014 to 2024. During that time, north of 13.3 million votes were cast in Minnesota. And after an exhaustive review, he found three out of 13 million who were non-citizens who voted. In 10 years, 13.3 million. Now, that's 3 too many. All of us in this room want that number to be 0, and it should be 0. But that is a really microscopic level of misconduct on the basis of citizenship. So the answer in Minnesota is that we've done a really, really good job. And while I totally understand the surface appeal of something like the SAVE Act, you got to think about it practically and with a little bit of common sense. We have 69 million women in this country, 69 million, who have a different last name now than when they were born. That means, presumably, that in order to prove citizenship, those 69 million women, those of them that don't have a document like a passport, which is north of 20 million of them, would have to produce not only a birth certificate, but a marriage record of some kind. And if they've been married, say twice, that's 2 marriage records. That's probably the reason why a federal court struck down Kansas's law 10 years ago or so when they passed a similar law in the state, and it's why the current Secretary of State of Kansas, a friend of mine, has said, in essence, that it was a bad idea for Kansas. In the state of Kansas, when they imposed this on the state level, 26,000 Kansans, 26,000, who were eligible to vote, 26,000 eligible Americans living in Kansas, eligible, were shut out of the voting system because they couldn't come up with the papers. Or maybe they were naturalized citizens and they lost them. As Senator Herr has reminded me in other contexts, I know he was here earlier, it costs $700 for someone to reorder naturalization papers if you can't find them. Let's say you were naturalized in the 70s and you lost them. You moved a couple times, you can't find them. That's $700. So it's not a birth certificate for them, it's others. What I'm saying is, by way of just a couple of examples, an idea that on the surface might seem to a lot of folks reasonable, in application, in a practical common sense ways, could be a disaster for our election system if Kansas is any indication. 26,000 there would be tens of thousands more in Minnesota based on population that would be just shut out because they can't find the papers or the multiple sets of papers they need, even though they've been born and raised and lived their whole lives here, to prove with documentary evidence that they're citizens. So that's something that really concerns me a lot. There has been talk in states, in some states, of passing laws that would, at least for state elections, safeguard the system that we have now, so that because the SAVE Act only applies to federal elections, so U.S. House, U.S. Senate, and the presidency, and would carve out a space where we would be in the space that we are now, which has worked very well for us and 48 other states for a long, long time. So that's a long-winded answer to your question, but those are the 2 things that occur to me on the federal level: the executive order, which has involved us now in litigation, and the SAVE Act, which is pending before the U.S. House.
All right. Secretary Simon, thank you for your testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Sorry. And we're going to hand the gavel off to Senator McQuaid.
Senator Xiong, to Senate File 3045, do you want to start with your DE amendment?
Yes, members, before you is the A1 DE amendment for our omnibus bill Today we'll do a walkthrough, hear from our, the testifiers, take questions. On Thursday, we'll take amendments, markups, and take a vote.
All right. Senator Xiong, to the DE, the A1.
Serving as chair of this committee has been a journey, one that has taught me a great deal about the nuts and bolts of how our agencies function and how government serves people in ways we don't often see. Throughout this process, we've looked at, and I've tried to work through all the sheets that they provided us, genuinely valuing each of their insights. I know we don't always agree, and that's okay. I believe that that's because we all care deeply and we all bring passion to this work. That energy has helped shape this proposal into something bigger. This DE amendment focuses on maintaining stability across state operations, modernizing our core systems, and strengthening public oversight. It's practical, it's responsive, and it reflects the priorities of the institutions Minnesotans rely on every day. Here are the main parts of the bill. We support the legislature, governor's office, agencies, boards, councils, and constitutional offices with operating adjustments to help cover inflation and staffing pressures. We invest in the Attorney General's office with funding for new Medicaid fraud investigators and overdue technology upgrades. We fund the Secretary of State to protect business filings and bolster election infrastructure. And we include a package of policy provisions from strengthening the legislative auditor's authority to improving grant oversight. And yes, we're making the giant beaver Minnesota's official state fossil. This bill meets our fiscal target, makes meaningful investments, and puts our shared concerns into action. With that, I'll turn it over to Senate Counsel to walk us through the details.
Thank you, Senator Xiong. Mr. Carlson, or Erickson, excuse me, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. I'll start with a walkthrough of the spreadsheet, but let's begin with the spreadsheet that I won't walk through. I just want to orient people to the more detailed version that's used to populate the bill. There's a lot of information there, but I know it's not always the most useful document to actually be talking about in committee. So that's the spreadsheet that is titled at the top, 2025 Session Tracking General Fund Summary. And you can think of that as a cover sheet for the much longer one. These are time-stamped at 9:44 a.m. this morning. These are the detailed versions of the appropriations that are in the bill. You'll find along the left side the agencies in the state government area, and then 3 discrete blocks of appropriations showing the current biennium we're in, fiscal year 24 and 25. In the middle columns, the budget biennium for which this committee is currently appropriating, 26 and 27. And then finally, in the third block on the right side, the tails biennium, fiscal 28 and 29. You'll see change items in various places. On the detailed one, there's a little block slightly above any change items that are there, but that will take us to the spreadsheet that I do want to walk us through, has a little bit larger type, and is the change items only spreadsheet that would look like this one. This one shows only the changes from base and only the chair's position, though there's a couple spots where you'll see zeros where essentially it's a governor's change item that has not been funded here, but the change item still shows up and is pulled over. So beginning with the legislature on line 5, the A1 amendment appropriates $4.6 million for the Senate operating adjustment, $7.3 million for the House operating adjustment, and $4.1 million for the LCC operating adjustment. These are all scaled similarly for the legislative bodies. For the state auditor, there is $681,000 in the current biennium for the operating adjustment, and I should note here that the executive branch agency change items here are funded at the governor's proposed levels. For the Attorney General, there is the $1.976 million operating adjustment. There's additionally $250,000 one time for a server room upgrade, $391,000 annually to expand the Medicaid fraud division staffing, and then another $5 million for operational and staff increases. For the Secretary of State, there is a $578,000 operating adjustment for the biennium and a $1.3 million appropriation for Senator Klein's Senate File 1734, which establishes a process to remove fraudulent business filings. There is a $24,000 biennial operating adjustment for the CAP Board. For the Office of Administrative Hearings, there's a $30,000 general fund appropriation and a $1.8 million appropriation from the Workers' Compensation Fund. For Minnesota IT Services, that's $564,000 for the biennium for its operating adjustment. And then at the Department of Administration, a number of change items, $911,000 for the biennial operating adjustment. $300,000 reduction picks up a governor's change item to reduce an annual transfer to the Office of Enterprise Translation Language Access Fund. There is a $2.875 in lieu of rent operating adjustment as well, for which there's no other appropriations available for any rent-paying entities. So this would be certain spaces in the Capitol and some space at the Veterans Affairs Building. There are two one-time grants, including a $250,000 grant to the Minnesota Orchestra, which is Senate File 2844, Senator Hawj's, and $220,000 for a grant to the History Theater, that is Senate File 374, Senator Xiong. There's also a reduction in the unassigned public broadcasting grant money. The governor had identified $500,000 each year of money that had gone to admin as a fiscal agent, but for which no actual grantee had been specified. This puts half of it back where the lack of an assignment had been, which was for public TV block grants, while recognizing the other half that had not been assigned as a savings. For Minnesota Management and Budget, there is a $2.7 million biennial operating adjustment, as well as a portion of the governor's change item for enhanced oversight capacity in the amount of $688,000 in the first biennium. There's also a cancellation of some unused funding for the data disaggregation project. That's $1.7 million in fiscal year 25. For the Department of Revenue, there's a $12.7 million operating adjustment. For the Racing Commission, this is a sort of a revolving item here. There's an offsetting revenue on line 147, but there's an increase in the advanced deposit wagering regulatory fee, which then has a statutory appropriation from the special revenue fund here. And you'll see that that is $875,000 in the budget biennium and $725,000 in the tails. For the Amateur Sports Commission, there's a $28,000 operating adjustment. The Minnesotans of African Heritage Council, there's $225,000 for an operating increase, as well as the $34,000 proposed governor's operating adjustment. Similarly for the Latino Affairs Council, there's a $272,000 biennial operating increase, in addition to the $36,000 operating adjustment. For the Asian Pacific Council, there is a $28,000 operating adjustment. For the LGBTQIA2S Plus Council, a $460,000 operating increase and $24,000 operating adjustment. And from here to the end of the appropriation spreadsheet, these are all operating adjustments. So let me just say names and amounts. The Indian Affairs Council for $61,000 in the biennium. The Minnesota Arts Board, $925,000 for the biennium. The Board of Accountancy, $44,000. Excuse me. The Architectural and Engineering Board is $43,000. Barber Examiners Board, $21,000, and the Board of Cosmetologist Examiners, $169,000. If you move down near the bottom of page 4, you'll see a section on revenues and transfers, and you'll see for the state auditor, the appropriation above is offset by the fact that their billing rate structure requires that they recover the costs of doing some of those audits, and so that amount is fully offset here with a $681,000 increase in billing revenue. There's also in Article 6 of the A1 an increase to a variety of filing fees for businesses that are charged by the Secretary of State, amounting to $732,000 each year ongoing. Moving to non-general fund changes on line 147. This is the offset to the advanced deposit wagering regulatory fee. And I don't see any other further items here. You can see near the bottom on line 166, the committee's target was $45,298,000, and that has been met, as well as the tails target of $55.761 million.
Chair. So I also wanted to note that the A1 will also include an oral amendment to it, so it will be we're removing a section in there.
Thank you. Senator Xiong moves wants to orally amend the A1, delete section 11 on page 48.
Yes.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The A1 is amended orally. Okay, thank you, Senator Xiong. Sorry, I was lost in the spreadsheet. We have testifiers. It looks like we have Secretary of State Simon and Auditor Blaha. If you want to come to the test. Senator Xiong?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Can we get some more chairs up here? Senator Xiong, my apologies.
Okay.
We have to do the policy, do we not?
Oh,
sorry.
Certainly.
This is my first omnibus
Yes,
chairing.
yes, no problem, yes.
Ms. James, to the policy.
Madam Chair and members, I will walk through the bill language, beginning with Article 2. Article 2 is the government that includes a variety of state government policy items. Section 1 is the designation of the state fossil. This is from Senator Swedzinski's bill, 2132. Section 2 on page 16 and sections 2 through 4 and a repealer are from Senator Curran's files, Senate File 1772. These regard the legislative auditor. Section 2 creates a division within the OLA for special reviews. Section 3 expands what can be the subject of a special review to include violations of law. It also allows special reviews to follow, to follow up on a prior special review. Section 4 expands the list of officers required to notify the OLA of information that indicates an unlawful use of public money. Section 5 on page 18 is from Senate File 2501, authored by Senator Xiong. This is the first of several sections that deal with agency contracting requirements. Section 5 is an exemption from new restrictions on terms that can be in state contracts that we'll see in a later section of the bill. Section 6 through 10 are from Senator Gustafson's bill 2236. These are proposals from the Office of Administrative Hearings that changes the name of the Office of Administrative Hearings to the Court of Administrative Hearings. It also creates a process for an agency to ask for a remand on an ALJ's an administrative law judge's decision. So then going to section 11 on page 21. Is another of the sections from Senator Curran's bill, 1772. This requires agency heads to ensure that concerns raised about the misuse of public money are promptly directed to the OLA or to an obligated officer. Section 12 on page 21 is from Senator May Quaid's bill, Senate File 2600, that requires 50% of an agency's expenditures for advertising to be spent on local news organizations. On page 22 is section 13. This is from Senate File 2851, authored by Senator Xiong. This changes the annual date for MMB to report to the legislature on the amount recommended as a budget reserve.
Page 23, Section 14 is from Senate File 2417, authored by Senator Xiong. This adds a member from the Board of Aging to the Assistive Technology Advisory Council and makes other technical changes. On page 24, Section 15 is from Senate File 2417. This clarifies the required notice to the legislature when work is ready to proceed on a capital project for which a specific appropriation had been made. Section 16 on page 24, also from Senate File 2417, changes the due date for an annual report. On page 25, Section 17, also from 2417, this exempts a vehicle for the Ombudsman for long-term care from the requirement of marking state vehicles. On page 26, Section 18 is from Senate File 3045. This creates an account in the Special Revenue Fund to be used for an agency's renewable energy projects and makes other technical changes. On page 28, Section 19 is from Senate File 2578, also authored by Senator Xiong. This adds a definition of grantee to the grants management statutes, and it exempts grants for capital projects from the grants management statutes that are under the Commissioner of Administration. On page 29, Section 20, also from Senate File 2578, clarifies what administrative costs can be paid for from state grant money and exempts grants for capital projects. This is from the grants management process under the Commissioner of Administration. On page 29, Section 21, also from Senate File 2578, changes an encouragement to a requirement for a state employee to report evidence of a violation of law regarding grants. The report has to be to the supervisor, the Commissioner of Administration, or to the legislative auditor. On page 29, sections 22 and 23 are from Senate File 2578. These shorten the timeline and streams the process for an agency to refuse to give out grant money when an agency is concerned about non-performance. On page 31, section 23, we just covered that. Section 24 is from Senate File 2501. This lists terms that can't be included in a state contract. Section 25 on page 31 is from 2417. It changes a requirement for a report to a requirement to post on a public dashboard on the findings and other information about goals regarding the state's vehicle fleet and the fuels that are used for it. Page 32, section 26 is from Senate File 2501. Sections 26 through 28 here eliminate the exemption from certain subcontracting requirements for targeted groups, veteran-owned businesses, and businesses in economically disadvantaged areas. Section 29 on page 35 is from Senate File 1734. This is a Senator Carlson bill. It changes the date of an annual report from M&B to the legislature on uncollectible debt. Sections 30 through 32 are from Senate File 3055. These make changes to the process for the state to select and contract for pharmacy benefit management. This includes allowing M&B to contract separately for prescription drug benefits and pharmacy benefit management services. Section 33 on page 39 is from Senator Wickland's bill 2668. This allows a spouse of a retired state employee to purchase benefits through CGIP after that retired employee is no longer eligible for CGIP due to a disability and being on medical assistance. Page 40, section 34 is from the governor's revised recs. Mr. Erickson mentioned this when going through the spreadsheet. This raises the regulatory fee charged by the Racing Commission for advanced deposit wagering. Sections 35 through 37, beginning on page 40, are from Senator Lang's bill 1891. These clarify how responsibilities of individuals and constraints on individuals within different types of business organizations apply based on the type of business organization. This is regarding entities that the lottery contracts with to be lottery retailers. On page 42, 43, Section 38 is a revisor instruction. This is also from Senate File 2236 and relates to the change of the name of the Office of Administrative Hearings. Section 39 has 4 repealers that are affiliated with other bills that we've discussed already. The subdivision 1 is a repeal of some political and campaign provisions that are regarded generally as unconstitutional. Subdivision 2 is a requirement that admin provide a model ordinance for outdoor lighting. Subdivision 3 is a requirement that administration list data analytics vendors for agency reorganization. And subdivision 4 repeals certain responsibilities for the OLA that relate to systems analysis, information services, and computerization. Article 3 is about state personnel management. This is on page 40, begins on page 43. These are all provisions from Senate File 3057, Senator Carlson's bill. Section 1 clarifies the clarifies a change in the equitable compensation requirement. Section 2 on page 44 changes the name of the compensation plan for unrepresented employees. Section 3 authorizes MMB to issue determinations on personnel matters regarding executive directors that are hired by boards. Section 4 is technical. Section 5 on page 46 authorizes appointing authorities to allow employees from 2 additional law enforcement units to donate up to 8 hours of vacation time to their union reps for that work. Section 6 is a conforming change. Section 7, also on page 46, extends to more agencies the authority to designate additional unclassified positions that meet certain criteria. Page 47, Section 8 modifies requirements for a student worker to be in the unclassified service, and it replaces a cap with a requirement for enrollment. Section 9 on page 47 eliminates the requirement that an appointing authority provide a reason for rejection of a job candidate who claims a veteran's preference. Section 10 on page 48 eliminates a requirement that names in an applicant pool be listed in an order based on skill. Section 11 on page 48 is the section that was removed through the oral amendment. Section 12 on page 48 eliminates a wait period before MMB can authorize a probationary appointment of a provisional employee. Section 13 removes a superfluous phrase. Section 14 is a technical change. Section 15 on page 49 changes permission to a requirement that the Commissioner of MMB authorize a probationary appointment of a candidate who's demonstrated qualifications through a job performance program. This is for people with disabilities. Page 50, Section 16 eliminates age and health as a condition that allow MMB to approve a salary rate above the maximum for a classification when that employee is demoted. Section 17 on page 50 eliminates certain procedural steps for a state employee to donate vacation. Page 51, Section 18 authorizes state employees to donate vacation time at retirement. Section 19 on page 51 is a technical change. Page 53, Section 20 is technical change and conforming changes. On page 54, Section 21 changes a requirement to a permission for Commissioners of Commerce and Health to review a summary of hospital and medical benefits offered to state employees. Section 22 on page 54 eliminates a requirement for MMB to report annually to the Legislature on the number of employees that opt out of CGIP, the State Employee Group Insurance Plan. On page 55, Section 23 eliminates employees from the U of M from eligibility for CGIP. The U hasn't participated in CGIP since 2002. On page 57, Section 24 removes, it has more removal of the University of Minnesota from CGIP. It also updates the names of other entities whose employees are eligible to participate in CGIP. It makes other conforming changes and removes the Highway Credit Union as an eligible entity because it's merged with another entity that is not eligible for CGIP. On page 58, Section 25 is a clarifying change. On page 59, Section 26 clarifies eligibility for a post-retirement option for a terminated state employee. Page 60, section 27 is a clarifying change. Section 28 is a clarifying change. Section 29, page 61, updates a pathway to state employment with the state for people with disabilities. It follows the recommendations in a report on changes to the state civil service. On page 62, section 30 is a repealer. This is a repeal of the Minnesota Employee Insurance Plan, which hasn't been in operation since the 90s. It eliminates authorization for a long-term care insurance program, which was never implemented, and it repeals an incentive program for employees to use CGIP efficiently. Article 4 contains provisions related to licensing boards, the Board of Cosmetologist Examiners, the Board of Public Accountancy, and the Board of Architects and related professions. That's pages 62 through 73. Then Article 5 on page 74 are a series of provisions related to business filing fraud prevention. These are from the Office of the Secretary, implemented through the Office of the Secretary of State. They establish a process for complainants who believe that a business filing was made fraudulently to make corrections. That Secretary of State has to make determinations regarding the filing in response to the complaint. If the Secretary of State determines that a filing is fraudulent, the filing must be treated as if the filing never existed. And if a business is registered using a Minnesota resident's name, address, or identity within the resident's consent, the business is deemed dissolved. The final order of the Secretary of State is appealable to district court. This also requires non-governmental entities who send solicitations to businesses to include clear statements that the solicitation is an advertisement and not from a government agency. And the bill provides criminal penalties and classifies data, or the Article 5. And then Article 6, beginning on page 81, is an increase in various business filing fees. And that brings us to Article 7 on page 87, which Mr. Watson will describe. Mr. Watson.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Section 1 on page 87 amends the open meeting law to allow members of a public body to participate remotely in open meetings from a location that is not open and accessible to the public. Under current law, a member may only participate from a non-public location 3 times a year and only if they meet certain requirements. Section 2 is a conforming change to the open meeting notice requirement to go along with Section 1. Section 3 raises the revenue, and I should say Sections 1 and 2 come from SF 787. Section 3 raises the revenue threshold for above which a town is required to perform an annual audit. This would apply to towns that combine the office of clerk and treasurer. The bill sets the threshold to $1 million to be adjusted annually for inflation. The previous threshold was set at $150,000 in 2005 and has been annually adjusted for inflation. That comes from Senate File 564. Section 4 on page 89 creates the Ramsey County Economic Development Authority, which has the powers of an economic development authority under existing state law, except the power to tax, issue bonds, and the powers of a housing or redevelopment authority or the powers of a city. Subdivision 2 of Section 4 provides that the Ramsey County Economic Authority will have 7 commissioners, and it gives the Ramsey County Board of Commissioners the authority to appoint the same sitting commissioners of the Housing and Redevelopment Authority as the commissioners of the Economic Development Authority. Section 5 expands the powers of the existing Ramsey County Housing and Development Authority to include the powers of the newly created Ramsey County Economic Development Authority. Both of those sections come from SF 2521. Going to Section 6 on page 90, This comes from SF 1246. It amends the law governing St. Louis County's unclassified civil service to permit the county to have more than 2 deputy administrators. On page 91, section 7, this also comes from SF 564. This makes the same change to the annual audit requirements for cities that operate under the standard plan of government and combine the office of clerk and treasurers. And section 8 on page 92, again, makes that same change, but for cities that operate under the optional plan A. Section 9 on page 92 comes from SF 1491, permits cities, towns, and fire departments to allow individuals who provide volunteer emergency services to purchase tires for their own personal vehicles under the city contract. They're using their own money. Section 10 on page 93. This also comes from SF 564. This amends the law that requires local governments to provide financial reports to the state auditor, and it provides that if towns do not provide the required reports, they cannot participate in receiving state aid. Section 11 on page 94 it repeals certain laws. Paragraph A repeals laws that govern St. Louis County. This comes from SF 1246. And paragraph B repeals comes from SF 1598 and repeals a state law that prohibits political subdivisions from banning stores from providing customers with disposable plastic or paper bags.
Thank you, Mr. Watson. All right, members, we are going to adopt the A1 amendment as amended, and then we'll have discussion, or we will have, okay. So Senator Xiong moves the A1 amendment as amended. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The A1 as amended is adopted. Senator Xiong.
Thank you, and I think we can open up for testifier folks that wanted to testify.
Thank you. So now I will invite our esteemed testifiers and guests back to the table. Thank you, Ms. James, Mr. Erickson, Mr. Watson, for walking us through that. Secretary of State Simon and Auditor Blaha. Secretary Simon, introduce yourself for the record. Welcome back to the committee. You may begin.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. Steve Simon, Minnesota Secretary of State. I'll start my brief remarks with the policy side of the bill. I want to thank you, Mr. Chair, Madam Chair, all of you for including the Business Filing Fraud Prevention Act in the committee's omnibus. It really is an important step in protecting Minnesotans from business identity fraud. Bad actors can hijack a legitimate business or create fake ones in someone else's name, often chosen by chance with no connection to the perpetrator. Our office handles phone calls daily from Minnesotans who are suddenly dealing with this crime without a clear answer of why and how to clear their name. So the language included in the bill gives the office the statutory ability to help by creating a clear process for handling fraudulent filings, making it easier to literally set the record straight and unwind the damage. It's nearly impossible to pass laws at the speed that criminals can abuse systems, and having a direct path to challenge and remove wrongful filings ensures that victims can reclaim their businesses and identities without long delays and costly legal representation. So the faster the fraud is addressed, the less damage a perpetrator can do via further criminal activities such as acquiring loans or equipment in the victim's name. So protecting business owners and individuals from fraud strengthens trust in the system and keeps Minnesota's businesses and business community strong. Briefly, I'd like to turn next to the finance side of the bill. Obviously, I and everyone in our office, we understand that Minnesota is facing a challenging budget situation. You all have very tough decisions to make, and we deeply appreciate the time that we've been given before this committee. And while we appreciate that a portion of the office's requested operating increase is included in the DE, the amount included does fall short of the $1.7 million or so across the biennium that we have said that we would need to continue current services to Minnesotans. So I would just ask the committee, as negotiations are ongoing, particularly in conference committee, to reconsider the proposal. The current level of funding will mean that key positions within the office could be left unfilled, and the timeliness of our services to Minnesota businesses, election administrators, voters, and those who fear for their physical safety could be negatively impacted. Again, thank you. Thank the committee for its work. I know these are difficult situations, challenging times. I truly do appreciate that and the leadership of all of you. Thank you very much. And look forward to having continuation of this conversation anytime. I think all of you have my personal cell phone number, so I'm happy to talk with you anytime at your convenience. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Simon. Auditor Blaha.
Thank you, Chairman McQuaid, members. I also want to thank you for including the threshold adjustments in audit requirements in the policy side of the bill. It'll help us focus our oversight where it's most needed and give relief to some of our smaller city and towns. Now, on to the financial side. I do know you all have tough decisions as well. You know, I know you appreciate the work of our office. I know you value effective oversight. So let's just look at the numbers. This is basically a less than 2% increase per year. And because of that, we anticipate that would send us backward by about 8 FTEs. Is about how much our full operating adjustment would have, the difference between our full operating adjustment and this one. But here's the real fly in the ointment here. The only division where I really can cut staff at this point is audit. And that is the division that pays for itself with fees. And these fees are directly attached to the hours the staff work. So if you cut an auditor, you also cut the same amount of fees, and which will net little, if any, real savings to the state. We see that in the past when they've cut our office and they've cut auditors. Again, you get less oversight, but you don't really get real savings on that. And so, and currently we do have enough requests for us to take on additional audits, and we have more of those than we can actually fulfill. We've seen an upward trend in the number of applicants for auditor positions and anticipate more due to recent events. So with the full operating adjustment, we'll be able to support more entities struggling to find an auditor they can afford. So again, I understand you got tough decisions here. Look forward to more conversation, and thank you for all the work that you do.
Thank you, Auditor Blaha. All right, next we have Commissioner Granville and Deputy Commissioner Eichten, if you want to come to the testifying table. Commissioner Granville, if you would like to introduce yourself for the record, welcome to the committee. You may begin your testimony.
Good afternoon, Vice Chair Gustafson, Chair Xiong, and the rest of the committee. Good to see you all again. I'm Tamar Granville. I'm the Commissioner at the Minnesota Department of Administration. Admin's primary role is to help government best serve Minnesotans. We are a central service agency with a wide-ranging set of responsibilities that ultimately touches every part of state government and provides services in all Minnesota counties. I acknowledge the difficult decisions that the chair had to make to come to this budget, and I want to thank you for recognizing the need to fund the governor's budget recommendations for admin. Especially the increases to admin's operating budget and in lieu of rent. These appropriations will help admin to cover growing expenses for healthcare, compensation, utilities, IT, and the operations and maintenance around the capital area for entities that do not pay for their leased spaces. Additionally, extending the Capital Mall Design Framework funding will allow for completion of the first phase that is currently underway on the Capitol complex. Admin is also appreciative of the inclusion of most of our policy proposals, including admin's contracting, grants, and technical policy bills. These changes will help admin to best serve our partners and keep our statutes up to date. The bill also establishes the state building renewable energy, storage, and electric vehicle account. This $0 request would enable admin to leverage federal funds for renewable energy and energy storage upgrades at state-owned facilities. As you move through the conference committee process, I encourage you to consider correcting the insulin repayment account in statute and session law. This technical change properly identifies the account into which transfers from the Healthcare Access Fund should be made for the insulin repayment program. I also request that you add admin's data challenge appeal technical changes. This proposal would protect not public data during the data challenge appeal process. Finally, I ask you include language from admin's data sharing policy bill. This would break down silos and remove barriers for agencies sharing data to investigate fraud. Finally, thank you for the opportunity to testify. I look forward to working with you through the conference committee process and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Granville. Deputy Commissioner Eichten, please introduce yourself for the committee. Welcome. You may begin your testimony.
Madam Chair, Mr. Chair, members, thank you for the opportunity to testify. For the record, my name is John Eichten. I'm the Deputy Commissioner for Minnesota IT Services. I want to acknowledge the critical role this committee has played in advancing modern and secure digital services for Minnesotans through prior investments that have strengthened our state and local cybersecurity defenses, accelerated states' move to cloud services, and helped advance IT modernization broadly. These strategic investments have been key in supporting Minute and our state agency partners' missions to improve Minnesotans' experience when they interact with their government. To the bill in front of the committee today, Minute is grateful for the inclusion of the governor's recommended operating adjustment in the amendment for Senate File 3045. Supporting this modest adjustment really enables Minute to continue our existing levels of service, allow our agency to address increases in employee paid healthcare contributions, other compensated related costs. So while Minute's general fund, want to be clear, is a small portion of our total IT spend as a state and as an organization, it is the core source of funding for our statewide leadership functions, enabling Minute to advance the whole of state cybersecurity plan and support local government and school districts in their cyber defenses, supporting MinGeo and their work to enable data-driven decision-making and the efficient use of data and data services, and then to allow us to continue to move forward implementation of recommendations from the Technology Advisory Council. So our appreciation for that continued support and the opportunity to testify. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, Deputy Commissioner Eichten. Next, we have Deputy Commissioner Ho, and then I apologize if you have a title, I was not given it, Eric Anderson. Deputy Commissioner, you may introduce yourself for the record. Welcome to the committee and begin.
Thank you. Chair McQuaid, Chair Xiong, and members of the committee, my name is Lee Ho, Deputy Commissioner at the Department of Revenue. Thank you for the opportunity to speak about revenues budget, and thank you for the committee's continuing support of the revenue system. We appreciate the work of the chair in putting together this amendment and his consideration of the governor's proposed budget. As you know, revenue administers over 30 different tax types that collect over $33 billion to support the future of all of Minnesota, including state programs that support education, health, transportation, agriculture, and families. These tax types generate over 6 million transactions and share common operations and provide taxpayer assistance and process refunds and payments. In addition, revenue continues to invest in technologies and other process improvements to create efficiencies and enhance the customer experience. For example, we are providing more self-service options for taxpayers to access their information and interact with us electronically without speaking to a live agent. Fully funding the governor's recommendation will ensure that the revenue system continues to provide expected service levels, state revenues, and safeguards against fraud. Revenue is also working with the tax and other committees on potential reductions and other changes in agency programs. Thank you for the opportunity to talk about revenues budget. We look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Deputy Commissioner Ho. Mr. Anderson, please introduce yourself for the record. Welcome to the committee. You may begin your testimony.
Thank you, Chairs. And I'm Eric Anderson, Government Relations Director at Minnesota Management and Budget. And Commissioner Campbell sends her regrets. She had to depart for a prior commitment. And thank you all for the opportunity to comment on the state government omnibus bill before you, and especially to Chair Xiong for all that's included here for our agency. We're especially grateful for the inclusion of the full operating adjustment at the level recommended in the governor's recommendation. As you've heard from the other agency testifiers, these investments are critical for maintaining our current operations. We also appreciate that the bill funds a portion of the enhanced oversight capacity request in the governor's recommendations for our agency, which overlaps with the governor's package of anti-fraud proposals. Minnesotans expect robust oversight of their state government and the expenditure of public funds, and MMB has identified several investments needed to meet the expectations of our various oversight activities. We look forward to the opportunity to work with you and as committee members on the potential for inclusion of the entire package in a final agreement.
We also greatly appreciate the inclusion of our proposal to allow greater flexibility in procuring prescription drug and pharmacy benefits for our CGIP members. These changes are important to generate more competition in the procurement process and to allow MMB to respond to the ever-evolving prescription drug benefit landscape. Our team has had extensive conversations with our joint labor partners in the Joint Labor Management Steering Committee and received support to move forward with this initiative. We'd also note appreciation to the committee for including adjustments to the deadlines for the uncollectible debt report to allow our staff more time to review data received from our partner agencies, and the budget reserve recommendation report to align with the timeline that we received necessary federal data for that report. And would also note our appreciation for the various state personnel management provisions included here. Finally, we would ask the committee to reconsider the governor's recommended expansion of agency operating budget carry-forward authority to allow agencies to uniformly carry forward unexpended non-grant operating appropriations for the second year of a biennium into the next biennium. This would provide an important tool to help manage cost pressures and align the executive branch with the carry-forward authority already granted to the legislature for the management of its finances. So appreciate the opportunity to testify today, and we look forward to working with the committee to enact a balanced state budget.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Are there any other members of the public who would like to testify? Please come forward, have a seat at the testifying table. Welcome to the committee. Introduce yourself for the record, and you may begin your testimony, and if you could keep it to just a few minutes.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, for the record, my name is Andrew Morris, and I serve as the Public Affairs and Legislative Liaison at the Council on Asian Pacific Minnesotans. The Council is a nonpartisan, non-cabinet executive branch agency tasked with the duties to be the advisor, advocate, and liaison within state government on behalf of Minnesota's more than 40 communities of distinct national, ethnic, and linguistic origins, comprising over 365,000 Asian Pacific Minnesotans in each of Minnesota's 87 counties. During the January 28th hearing of this committee, the Council testified to its work and to its budget request for the coming biennium. As the Council testified during that hearing, the Council currently has the lowest budget and staffing level among the state's 3 ethnic councils. Our change item request for the 26-27 biennium was for a $370,000 increase over base for the biennium, which would allow us to add 1 additional FTE, a special projects coordinator, to our staff team. This was a council board approved request to meet the growing needs of the communities the council serves, particularly our smaller communities, and to begin to close the parity gap between the ethnic councils. Despite being the only council to request an increase to its base budget during the January 28th hearing, we note that the committee is recommending a double-digit increase for the other ethnic councils, but only a 2.2% increase for our council as an operating expense, further expanding the parity gap between the councils. The council's board chair, Brian Tawara, is requesting a written explanation as to the committee's reasoning for this recommendation. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today, and we look forward to this important discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Morse. Please introduce yourself for the committee. Welcome. You may begin your testimony.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Edward Reynoso. I'm the Political and Legislative Affairs Director for Teamsters Local 320. I'm here to object to specifically in the policy bill, section 30 to 32, and specifically starting at line 35.26 to 38.31. Teamsters Local 320 represents over 12,000 members in the state of Minnesota, and thousands of our members and families stand to be directly impacted by these proposed changes. And I'm specifically speaking to the procurement and pharmacy benefit manager section. It's deeply concerning, first of all, that we just heard testimony from MMB stating that there is a joint labor or joint committee that is given its blessing. That is fundamentally and absolutely false. I can tell you we're part of it, and that did not happen. It's also, despite the significant implications that MMB has not engaged with the Teamsters, nurses, State Patrol, and other essential services and voices, should I say. Instead, they have selectively engaged with only a few groups.
This exclusionary approach undermines the transparency and fairness that should guide public decision-making. We respectfully urge you to consider removing the legislative proposal and call on MMB to fulfill its fundamental responsibility to collaborate with all stakeholders equally and meaningfully. One point of agreement I can tell you unequivocally is all of the labor groups believe that it's important to meet over the summer to collaborate with all impacted labor groups along with MMB. This approach will allow us to build true consensus on the most effective path forward, grounded in meaningful, thoughtful, and fact-based information, so we can deliver the best possible savings for both the state of Minnesota and our members. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reynoso. And with that, nope, that is not true. There are more testifiers. Please introduce yourself for the committee. For the record, welcome. And you may begin your testimony.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Chair, my name is Jill Schertz. I'm the Executive Director and the Chief Investment Officer for the Minnesota State Board of Investment. Across our enterprise, we manage around $150 billion worth of assets for the public pension plans of Minnesota, fire relief plans, various others, and the state cash accounts. We're here today because we do have language that was in the governor's budget proposal that we would like to see and ask for your consideration in SF 3045. I want to say right up front that our understanding is there were some questions for follow-up and consideration around one particular provision involving our request to seek parity on the treatment of high-yield securities in our investment platform with asset-backed and mortgage-backed securities. We recognize that this is a complex topic. We think that, given the time frame involved, we are more than willing to lay this over for next year where we can come back and answer any questions that you have. What we would ask for your consideration is that the main portion of the bill, that involving our desire to modernize our billing procedures to eliminate certain redundancies in reporting, be considered for inclusion in the bill and as an amendment this Thursday. We'd be happy to stand for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Schertz. Next, welcome to the committee. Please introduce yourself for the record, and you may begin your testimony.
Thank you. I'm Deputy Executive Director at the SBI. I'm just here for questions.
Thank you so much. Are there any other members of the public who would like to testify on this bill?
Yes.
Okay. With that, we will conclude public testimony. Senator Xiong, I was listening in the beginning, but it was 2.5 hours ago. Tell me what the next set of events for this bill is for today. Senator Xiong.
Yeah, so, I mean, if there are any committee member questions or concerns or comments, we can certainly hear them, but on Thursday we will do the markup and take amendments from members, and that will be the plan going forward.
Sounds good. Member questions. Senator Drazkowski, then Senator Curran.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't know who the question is for. Maybe it's the author. With omnibus bills like this, it's always good to ask which items are included in here that were not brought forward as bills. Sometimes chairs put stuff in, and the only way we find out which ones, or an early way to get a lead on it, is to ask the chair or ask Ms. James what items are in here outside of Article 1, of course. What items are in the bill that weren't presented as bills and did not come before the committee. And I guess outside of Article 6, and I would have a question maybe for the chair on where Article 6 came from.
Senator Xiong, would you like to start with the first part of that question?
Yeah, maybe Senate staff can answer the first set of questions that you had so that I don't leave anything out, because there's a list here. So maybe Senate Council can provide that info if you like.
Ms. James.
Madam Chair, Senator Drazkowski, the only item that wasn't in bill considered by the committee is Section 34 of Article 2, which is Section 34 of Article 2. This was a provision that was in the governor's revised rec Rex, that's the increased fee for advanced deposit wagering.
Thank you, Ms. James. Senator Drazkowski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. James, kind of a follow-up. Of the ones that did come as bills, were any of them adapted, or did they all come as presented in the bill?
Ms. James.
Madam Chair and Senator Drazkowski, everything is in the bill in the form with the amendments that were adopted in committee. I think there is one exception where we excluded. Well, it's the section that you excluded by oral amendment today would be the only difference in the articles 2 through 6.
And to the other articles, Mr. Watson.
And in Article 7, there was a technical addition to the SF 564, the audit, the increase for the audits that was requested by the auditor to apply the same rule to cities that organize under optional plan A. So as drafted, it applied to cities under the ordinary plan. So they made the same change for the other cities as well.
Senator Drazkowski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you both. Mr. Chair, you're not a sneaky chair. I like it. Mr. Chair, what about Article 6? Did that come from the governor's office to you, or that you put that article
you
in the
referring?
bill?
Sorry,
Senator Xiong.
Madam Chair and Senator Drazkowski, is it the? Are you referring to the business filing fees? Secretary
The fee
of State's office?
Senator Drazkowski.
Yeah,
Thank you, Madam
the
Chair.
Secretary of State's office.
Senator Xiong to Article 6.
The business filing fees, it was a request coming from the Secretary of State's office. Yes, the Secretary of State's office.
Senator Drazkowski.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. I would just note that that's not what the Secretary testified before us earlier, so I'm confused.
Senator Drazkowski, I believe council might have some additional information. Ms. James?
Madam Chair, Senator Drazkowski, I just wanted to say I was remiss to not mention that Article 6 was not in a bill that the committee heard.
Thank you, Ms. James. Senator Drazkowski.
I had caught that. Thank you, Madam Chair. I had caught that, Ms. James, and I would just, we would have caught that earlier. I don't know where the Secretary said that he did not send the fee increases to us, and then we heard that that's where they came from. So maybe we should send a posse out to find out what actually happened. I don't know. But anyway, I don't know how to answer that question, but maybe inquiring minds will. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Drazkowski. Senator Curran.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senator Xiong, one of your testifiers brought up, I think it was Mr. Morris, brought up the councils and I'd have to say, looking through the budget proposed on the session detailed tracking sheet, page 8, which actually shows all of the councils, African American, Latino, Asian Pacific, LGBT, Indian Affairs. In there, the governor's budget was proposed to look pretty slim, 2.5%. Be better if it was 0, but 2.5% is probably the lowest we've seen and most. But yet, your budget shows that the increases go from 16% for African American or African heritage, 22% increase over what the governor proposed for Latino, Asian Pacific, 2%. Council on LGBT, 2%, or I'm sorry, 48%, and the Indian Affairs, 2.2%. Were there asks that dramatically different, or how do we get to two of them have 2% and the others have significant between 49 or 48, 22, and 16%?
Senator Xiong.
I know that, thank you, Senator Curran, for that, for the question. We tried to fund all the different agencies according to the governor's recommendations. We're putting together a coalition of, trying to build a broad base of support to put this bill together. And so, we try to fund where we could. We didn't make any cuts to cap them if that's the question that you're referring to.
Madam
Senator
Chair,
Cran.
Senator Xiong, you
Yes.
just referenced, based on the governor's recommendation, the government recommendation was 2.2 to 2.6%, or 2.1 to 2.6%. Your budget, you decided to add and increase, again, one by 16, one by 22, and the other one by 48. You left two of them out.
Oh, yes.
Senator
Sorry. Sorry, Madam Chair. Senator Cran, yes, we did have additional meetings with the different councils ahead of time about different item requests, and I think we can provide you with the packets of their requests.
Mr. Chair,
Senator Cran.
my understanding, I think the reference to Mr. Morris, he said that they, at those meetings, the Asian Pacific was the only one that actually asked for an upgrade in their budget or an increase in their budget, and somehow everybody except that, the Asian Pacific Council, got a significant increase. So where did the requests come from?
Senator Xiong.
From the different councils, I've never had, I'm not sure, he was talking about the committee meeting, but we've said and met with individual council executive directors one-on-one.
Senator Cran.
So thank you, Madam Chair. And Senator Xiong, if you were going to normalize them, you said you wanted to kind of normalize, or one of your statements is normalize. I'd normalize them all at the level of the Asian Pacific. They must be doing something extra, and the Indian Affairs, although their budget's significantly larger than all others. And so I would normalize them all at 13 or $1.3 million if I were going to do something. But it seems like there's something going on here that doesn't seem to make any sense from a perspective of how these councils are treated so just differently. So we'll have a conversation again about it on Thursday. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Cran. Senator Xiong, would you like to follow up?
Yeah, certainly we have, certain senators, different members of our caucus, that caucuses on both aisles, both bodies, that have different priorities, and we're just trying to put it all together. And it might differ for different councils. So, but they all have different functions, and we're trying to help anybody that we can.
Thank you, Senator Xiong. Members, Senator Barr.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I had a question for Mr. Reynoso, if he would come back to the table, please.
Mr. Reynoso, if you could reintroduce yourself for the record, and then Senator Barr, go ahead with your question.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Edward Reynoso, Teamsters Local 320.
Senator Barr.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I was interested in your testimony about the healthcare pharmacy benefits manager.
Right.
Now, the way I was reading this only applies to in people that are participating in CGIP. Is any of the other unions that you mentioned, the Teamsters, the nurses, any of those, are they members of CGIP? I don't know, so I was just trying to get some more clarification on that.
Mr. Reynoso.
Madam Chair, Senator Barr, yes, they are.
Okay, thank you. That's what I need to know. Thank you.
And just to
Mr. Reynoso.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair. And just to go a little further, this took several years to develop this language, the language that's in statute now, and it was a very bipartisan legislation that Senator Benson chief authored in the Senate, and it was Representative Howard in the House. It was almost passed unanimously, and so while we understand there's changes that need to be made, to gut the system in which this does is absolutely wrong. Appreciate it.
Senator Barr?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I just didn't know whether I just needed the clarification that you guys participated in CGIP and the rest of those. So, yeah, you probably should have a seat at the table if we're going to change it, right?
I would think so,
Mr. Reynoso.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Barr. Any other member questions? Senator Miller? Okay. All right, Senator Xiong, any closing remarks?
Yes, thank you, members. It's first time go around being chair. We're trying to put a bill together that can pass and put the Senate in the best position. I know there's a few more steps that we have to go through, and I look forward to further conversations. But this is a proposal that I'm proud to stand by. We're happy with all the staff that had helped put this together. You you borrowing your time to join with us to go through the discussions and all the different parties that we've met with to kind of put this package together. And so I really look forward to seeing it go forward and being voted on and passing out our first budget here. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Xiong. So members, we will do markup on the bill on Thursday, if I heard the chair correctly. And with that, there's no more business before the committee. We are adjourned.